day it grows more and more, I'm sure it shows. Where is a bubbling fountain that flows into a sea?
Hello everyone and welcome back to the second episode of the Fresh Medz. Today I'm joined with
Over the top, Brandon Whitley, whatever people call me, I'm here.
Welcome back to the Fresh Medz, where we talk about the freshest of Medzes, and today we have an episode talking about the latest season of Arcane. Arcane to me was really interesting in the sense where when I first watched it, I noticed something like off the bat, and that was its skill in plot development. And the reason why I bring that up is because there are so many subplots in Arcane.
Yeah.
Like, it took me a second. Like, when I first started watching it, obviously you think, okay, this is about Vi and this is about Powder. Then you have Jayce. Then you have Viktor. Then you have Mel. Then you have EKKO, Heimerdinger, all these other characters. And what I find that the show has done so beautifully is kind of, by the time we get to season 2, every character has a resolution. And that was something that I found really interesting because in a lot of media that I've watched, you don't normally see that where everybody introduced has a sort of resolution. Mm-hmm. And the reason why that caught me off guard is because obviously you and me both watch anime. There's a lot of open-ended characters by the end of a series completion. And like, just for instance, look at Naruto. Like, a lot of the characters, they don't really get a resolution in the sense of they don't really get what they want, or they get what they want too early and then they stay stagnant throughout the rest of the show. What I found that Arcane did really beautifully is everything is resolved by the final episode. Everybody's stories comes to an end, or whatever they did that put the story in motion culminates into that final battle at the end. And I found that those subplots really did resolve themselves and also were mended beautifully in a linear way that created for a compelling narrative.
So I mean, I see where you're coming from, because like there are like a lot of characters that do at least get some sort of like conclusion to their story, but at the same time, I feel like some of them were I feel like as if needed more time to really kind of to like really, as the audience, get like attached to these characters and really get to know who they are and why they do the things that they do. One of the things and it's like for example with Aisha, right?
Okay.
Where, we get introduced to this little girl inside of the underground, and we don't know why she's being chased, but she's being chased. And so then she gets saved by Jinx and then follows Jinx, right? And fast forward a bit, we get to this part where, like, she wants Jinx to go back to being who she was, like this crazy person who does whatever they plead, and become like this leader of this revolutionary group of like the underground, the unity of the underground. And we get that for like a brief moment. She gets captured, and then we stop really seeing that. Like, we don't really see Aisha kind of like still like pushing towards the idea of, yeah, like we have to do this. Like this is something that must be done. We don't really get that. We get her meeting up with Vander, and then her being like, okay, we gotta, or at least with Jinx, right? Her meet up with Vander and then meet up with Vi, and Aisha's kind of just on the side. And then it's all the way on the side until the final moment where, Investor's army is raiding the place and she blows herself up. And I was expecting, like, at least when you kill off a character like that, I was expecting to really like feel like oh shit, like I'm gonna cry. Like, like damn, like we're really losing. Like I didn't expect to lose her. But no, the minute we got to this part and and I saw her hold like the hex core, I was like, yeah, she's gonna die. She's gonna
So
die. That's it.
you felt that it was predictable in your sense the direction that Aisha's character went in?
I just feel like in the end um to go from encouraging Jinx to be like this leader, taking this one step forward thing, it never really occurred to me of like her being a character that I was just gonna be like, all right, I'm gonna just kill myself here.
But maybe your character wasn't supposed to serve as that completely. Like think about it in a natural progression sort of way. Aisha was always like when you first meet Aisha, she's being saved by Jinx. So she already has this sort of savior mentality when it comes to Jinx. Jinx represents that person that's coming to save everybody. And when she finds out that everybody else perceives Jinx in the same way, it reinforces that belief about her. But you have to remember when Aisha comes into Jinx's life, that all vanishes and ends. It's almost like what Aisha wanted in Jinx was nullified with her being there, in a sense. And I feel that especially with Aisha being mute and being more perceptive towards what's going on, I felt that as young as she was, she could recognize what Jinx's plight was. So being around Vander as Warwick and being around Vi, she realizes that Jinx doesn't want to just be a leader. That's not what she wants internally. She wants to be loved. She wants to be accepted by her family. And I feel like that's why Aisha stopped pushing for that. But also her final Hail Mary at the end was it was a culmination of what Jinx had taught her, unfortunately, as bad as it was, because she has that self-sacrificial mentality with the same way she was saved by Jinx is the same way she's gonna save Jinx. And that final gesture of the gun trigger was to almost show that because when Jinx first saves Aisha, she does that. And when Aisha saves Jinx, she does that. So that's an excellent callback. I think that Aisha viewed herself as almost serving Jinx, but in a loving manner, to the point where that love exceeded her love for her own life, and the love for another exceeded the love for her own life in that sense. So I would disagree on that point regarding the trajectory of her character. I've heard varying opinions though about people saying that it was expected, or man, there wasn't enough development on her part. But there are certain characters that are born to die in that sense, but their deaths serve as something different because Jinx believes that with Aisha in her life, it either feels blurry or she's walking and she sees everything clearly. And now with Aisha coming out of her life, that's also another question I wanted to ask. Did you feel like that changed Jinx in a positive or negative manner? Did it make her see things clearly with Aisha's absence, or did it actually turn Jinx or revert Jinx back to who she was before?
I think that um I'm not sure. I think it really seemed more like a regression, but it obviously can be a mix of both. One of the things that Jinx really had as back before when she was Powder, one of the things that kind of stuck with her the most was that characters or that people that she loved, whenever somebody gets to know her, they just die. They just
Mm-hmm.
die or they abandon her, right? And so from Aisha saving her, you know, obviously you have that regression where, and I feel like it supports her claim. It supports her belief that, after getting to know Jinx, after staying with Jinx long enough, she dies. I mean, she not just dies. Hell, she saves Jinx's life. But the point is that she lost somebody who she cared about because that they were around her, and that was really kind of like a setback. It was like with her being alive and her, you could even see Jinx not involving herself, purposely not involving herself with the rest of the underworld or the underground because that she didn't want Aisha getting involved. She didn't want her to get involved into um, all this crime, all this injustice, because that the minute when Jinx gets involved with it, it all goes down from Jinx's understanding. Every time that she gets involved with it and she has a loved one nearby, they all get affected. So um, I see it as a regression, but also a way of moving forward because that her head starts becoming more clear. Her head becomes more clear um in terms of her having like a single mindset instead of a split between two or more varying ideas. It kind of balances out into just one, which is the fact that she's not a good person and that she should die.
Do you feel like that? So does that belief there? So that belief that you see, that is things being clearer rather than more blurry, in that sense.
I see it as more clear, but at the same time, I also see it as blurry. Like I see it clear in terms of a sense of how that her mind is set on one thing, but blurry in a sense of how that there's a bigger picture than just I'm bad, and I everybody who I care about when they get nearby me, they just die.
Yeah. So kind of a sobering and drunkening experience that Aisha's death provides.
Like a
Okay.
misguided enlightenment.
I'm misguided. I wanted to talk to you about how the characters depicted realism. So, how was your interpretation of the characterization of these characters in Arcane?
I felt like they felt natural. Like that's like the best way I could put it. Like
Yeah.
they felt natural. Like I wasn't really like I wasn't I never really said anything about the characters all too much besides the fact of how that when you get to like season two, it seems like as if like there's some sort of time constraint
Mhm.
um because of how quick things change. Like you have Mel who somehow gets superpowers. I mean, unless this was hinted in season one, that I don't know, but you have that. I wanted to know a little bit more. Like I felt a little bit confused with Viktor. Like I could understand him, but at the same time I couldn't. Like it seemed like um almost as if it was, I'm not sure if this was intentional or not, but like he sounds like as if he knows what he's talking about. And I feel like I don't know what he's talking about, and I want him to explain what he's talking about. Uh, for the other characters like EKKO and Bessa, Caitlyn, all of them, they just felt natural. Caitlyn, on the other hand, a little bit too quick. I still will say that I think that her switch was too quick to
Mm.
side with Vi. Um, but they all were grounded in what they on their own ideologies, and whether or not they were supported by it or not changed who they were. So like with Vi, and when Caitlyn hits Vi after them almost killing Jinx, right? And she leaves Vi, right? Vi was under the impersonation that, she had abandonment issues, right? She's like, please don't leave me. I don't want anybody else who I care about to leave me. And so she, Caitlyn leaves Vi, and it reinforces that idea. And so she starts going on her own and starts, you know, doing whatever ultimately going to fight clubs and stuff, which I believed is, like a natural thing within her character. Um, and yeah, it's like I saw nothing wrong with that. I saw nothing wrong with that. I saw nothing wrong with the way in which that every character um interacted, the way in which their ideologies, they all seemed real. It all made sense, which I guess could go against the idea of realism. Because, if you really, in reality, we just don't know what the intentions are of everybody. We just don't know people.
Yeah.
So you do have that, but on the plus side, as a story, with everything needing to make sense, it made sense. A lot of characters made sense.
So would you say there's kind of a juxtaposition when it comes to Arcane's characters and realism to, I would say, more animated 2D animation characters and the way in which their stories and their personalities are?
Mm, I don't know. I really like. I don't know. I'd have to like truly sit down and kind of watch season 1 and season 2 again,
Mm-hmm.
um, to kind of think about it that way.
Okay.
Um, but I don't know.
The reason why, yeah,
No. Why do you bring that up?
the reason why I bring that up is because I definitely felt that the reason why Arcane has actually got everyone that watches Netflix in a chokehold right now is because you're watching an animation that has characters that translate into real life in the sense where their personalities are real and they're not one-sided or one-dimensional characters. Often you'd see, and the reason why I bring this up is because I wanna compare this 3D animation with anime that we know and we love. There often you'll see in a lot of anime some characters tend to be one-dimensional, where this is the angry character, this is the funny character, this is the character that's stupid, and they'll stay like that. Yes, they'll go through their gradual changes, but their baseline will always stay the same. Arcane mirrors us humans in the sense where there's no person that you'll ever meet that is one dimensional. Yes, they'll have some character traits that will be on more of the surface than others, but everybody has dynamics to them. And Arcane, I feel, showed them the dynamics very beautifully. With the first example I can think of is just Powder, bro. Because I'm not gonna lie, in season 1, when Powder made that transition to Jinx off the bat, right as Vi left her for the first time in her life, of a pretty drastic and a pretty crazy happening. That change and running into Silco's arms, also knowing that he's the big bad. Like, she knew all of this. She knew they were like, that was the guy. She knew what was happening. That kind of slapped me in the face, but it was a good slapping of the face in the sense where, yes, I didn't know why that happens, but I can understand it. You can understand why someone who's abandoned for the first time in their life runs to the first person who comes to their aid, no matter what they were doing beforehand, because that's the only person who's shown to care about them. Now, I wouldn't personally make that decision, but then again, I don't know how I would feel if I was a kid, so you can't really knock that. And as far as that goes with other characters, all of them show signs of just moral grayness, moral ambiguity. None of them are the shining lights of morality and of altruism. All of them have things that they do that can be considered gray in a sense. And I find that Arcane did this, especially the writers for Arcane did this in a masterful way. So where you're rooting for them, you may not agree with all the decisions that they're making, but you're also saying, hey, I can understand how you'd make that decision. It allowed our empathy to really come up to the forefront of when we're watching the show. And that's why I bring that up, because you'll watch certain anime and you'll be like, he's gonna do this. Like, you can almost gauge them. With Arcane, every character had you guessing. In my opinion, every character had you guessing what they could do next. I didn't feel like anything was predictable. Nothing in the story to me was predictable. And Arcane has been one of the few shows that I've had the privilege of watching and not being spoiled for. So I was on the edge of my seat the entire time. I had the privilege of being shocked by the twists and turns of the narrative. And I was actually very grateful, because I really do see it as a masterful piece of plot and fiction while you may have your qualms with its execution, I personally really enjoyed the direction it took in that sense. So yeah, that's how I feel about the realism depicted. But even further than that, there was also like the 3D that was used in Arcane was also a stylistic change that also allowed for more empathy. Did you notice any of the 3D effects per se that has pushed the narrative?
I will say that the use of 3D was, um, I think that it fits it very well because you get like this kind of almost a sense of realism because of how well the models look. The
Mm-hmm.
models look very like pretty realistic in terms of like how one could envision these characters in a realistic setting. And so you could tell from like the little gestures in the eyes, some characters having like an eye twitch.
Yeah.
You could see like the way in which that character's eyebrows will kind of change, or just little features like a little jittering, right? That you could see in the characters, and I think that helped to get to know like how the character is feeling. Those are small moments that we as humans we have that I don't think a lot of people really see all too much,
Mm-hmm.
but those tiny things are what kind of like reveals like information about the character a lot to let you know what they like, who they are.
Yeah. The stylistic change that I noticed, especially in Arcane, was with the 3D characters, it was able to accentuate the character expression in a way in which what I see in Japanese anime it doesn't, because I was doing an essay the other day on Kill Bill, and if you've ever seen Kill Bill, you know that it has a lot of East Asian influence with the anime that was involved and just all the filmic devices. And one in the article I read that basically anime accentuates very mundane things such as character expression because it takes more time and money to animate those things. And I feel like what anime had done in that sense, which I don't know whether it was intentional to do, but it brought all the emotions that we have to the forefront of things so that there was less to be discovered, but it was also it allowed for a fresh viewing experience to where you have your heart on your sleeve in that sense. And I feel like that's why anime has captured a lot of audiences in that way, because even if you want to be a person that hides your emotions, when you watch anime, it's almost like it looks directly into your heart in that sense. And with Arcane now, they have 3D characters, so they're able to do these more subtle expressions of emotion. And that gave for more of a feeling like you're not even watching an animation for it gave more of a feeling like you're watching something live action, because now you actually are peering into the characters and saying, I wonder how you truly feel about that. Like, does Vi actually feel this way about Caitlyn? Does Caitlyn will Caitlyn listen to Vi and not kill Jinx? Or you have all these things that you're wondering about, whereas anime characters, their feelings about things are written on their face. And in 3D and in live action movies, it's not written on your face, it's more under the surface and you have to seek it out. And I found that that's also what made Arcane very compelling in that sense, because I remember watching a video, you'd be scrolling through reels and I saw a video that compared Vi's first meeting with Caitlyn, where she turns around in the cell, and then the the other meeting with Caitlyn where it mirrors that, where she turns around in the cell and after Jinx locks her in, you can see her eyes softening in the second one. And that's something that you don't normally see in traditional anime. But this 3D animation of Arcane really did a lot of these subtle character expressions really well. And it was just a pleasure to witness, bro. It was just a pleasure to witness. I want to go over some of your storyline opinions Now, just from the beginning of season 2 up to the culmination, because I know that you said that you felt that it was a bit rushed. Um, One thing that I personally loved with going into this new season, because I had watched the whole of season 1 up to the last 2 episodes when it first came out a couple years ago, and I don't know why I did this. I'm a chronic non-finisher when it comes to TV shows. When I know it's about to end, I'll just I don't know. I feel an emotional attachment a lot of the times when it comes to these shows. So right as the EKKO versus Jinx fight happened, at the end of that, I didn't even want to know whether EKKO was alive or not, bro. So I was like, nope, I'm done. I stopped watching it, bro. I stopped watching it for the next year, bro. Then when season 2 came out, I remember my timeline was just flooded with Arcane, and Timebomb, this and that, and I saw like a picture of EKKO and Powder, and I'm like, what? So I didn't know what was going on, but I was like, there's something in me that feels like cinema is right around the corner, and I need to go lock back into Arcane. So I was like, all right, let me go back to where I left off. Didn't remember a single thing that happened, bro. Did not remember a single thing that happened. And then then I was like, oh man, do I really have to start all the way from episode 1? Because I have a chronic thing with like, I do not like to rewatch shows because I feel like I'm wasting my own time. But this was not a waste of time. I called my friend and he was like, just watch it back, bro. And I was like, all right, fine. Best decision I ever made when it came to Arcane, bro. Because just allowing for those emotions to resonate within me again, and then also finally seeing what happened after the EKKO fight, finding out who was alive, thank goodness. And all the way to that cliffhanger at the end of season 1, I was just like, wow, this is masterful. And then happily enough, like I didn't have to deal with the whole weight of seeing who died versus who didn't. Season 2 is right here. I start watching that, and immediately, like, what had grabbed me at the end of season 1 was, oh, now we have a character dilemma for the first time, like a very strong character dilemma for the first time with this show, where the main character, Violet, or at least the first character that we're introduced to, Vi, she's now put in a position where it's either Kate or it's either Powder. Because she wants to have her cake and eat it too, but now she can't because her little sister has killed basically her prospective girlfriend's mother. And I was like, oh my gosh, brilliant decision by the writers. But man, now you wonder, like you spend the whole show wondering, who is it gonna be for Vi? Will she be with Kate? Will she muster up the sisterly love to go after Jinx? And I think that was masterfully done. She wanted to have her cake and eat it too. I wanted to know how you felt about that dilemma.
I personally I love that dilemma. That's like something that that's that was I had kind of like a notion of like where it was. Like I knew like both sides were not fucking good. Like this was really not a good idea on Jinx's end, because like with Jinx has to do, or at least with Vi, right? She has to deal with Jinx, and then she has to deal with Caitlyn. But it seemed like she was leaning more towards with Caitlyn because of how that she was like season 1 is her kind of like coming to terms with, you know, Powder, the death of, quote unquote, the death of Powder, right?
Yeah.
And she was like, no, I have to get rid of Jinx. And I found that to be a very rational kind of, that was a very rational move. That was a very rational idea, considering how that she is legitimately causing like terrorist attacks, you know, bombings, having Mel and Jayce almost assassinated. Like, I mean, alternatively, like we do know that, you know, Mbessa did have a part to play in there, but Jinx also kind of Jinx's role at the start with her bombing the Citadel makes is what kind of really starts that off. Having, in terms of going back almost to with EKKO and his well-being, I do think I knew that he was gonna live. I knew that he was gonna live. I've actually like, because like some things are just
quote unquote, I will say like some things are quote unquote biblically written, right?
Yeah.
Like so like stories have to do this because that the story calls for it,
Yeah.
right? Like EKKO plays a massive part in terms of like the restoration of the underground as well as his knowledge of hex of the hex tech. So it's like his knowledge with him being next to Heimerdinger, right? Um, you get like the perfect combination to where it's like he has to live because he has to meet Jayce, right?
Yeah.
So regardless of the situation, he has to live. Um, the minute when Vi and Caitlyn interacted, all it took was that just that one interaction. The minute, exact minute she called Caitlyn Cupcake, I was like, the pairing it's done. Um,
You thought it was cooked off rip, like right as Vi started liking Caitlyn, you thought that relationship between Vi and Jinx would like get cooked.
not that um I didn't think that they would get cooked. When I the point where I believe that the relationship might just have a problem is the minute when that missile went off. When
Yeah,
that missile went off and killed, I was like, it's a hard choice, but it's leaning more towards Caitlyn than ever.
bro. I dusted my hands after that. I'm like, well, goodbye, sisterly love, hello warfare, bro. Like, and you know what the craziest part is? It's like you spend the whole show, and I feel like a lot of watchers felt like this. You want Vi to get through to Jinx, bro. You want her to get through to the powder within, and right as it seems like Vi's about to get through, Jinx just comes back to the surface. That just shows the extent of Silco's indoctrination um, to Jinx. Because I'm not gonna lie, bro. Like I know a lot of bro, there are a lot of fans thirsting over Silco and like glazing Silco, bro. I'm like, do you not realize the extent of how messed up this Bretta is? Like, granted, one thing that I feel like we're robbed of just knowing the conflict that happened between Vander and Silco, which made Vander try and kill Silco. Like that was the one thing I feel like we were never told. And I feel like the writers did this on purpose, kind of giving like a Malcolm X versus MLK juxtaposition. They're always in every sort of worldly conflict. There will always be, especially like look in Naruto, Hokage, Shadow Hokage, the one that feels like they need to do more morally ambiguous things or what people can call morally wrong things, and the one who wants to maintain the altruism. Those things come to the forefront, and that becomes the conflict for the people that are oppressed. One person who wants to do good and the other one who wants to do bad in order to do good. And I feel that was. I wish we knew what the exact conflict was, but I understand why they didn't give it to us. One thing that I find really interesting is just every character had a part to play, especially when it came to the underground. Even the people who partook in the assassination of Vander became sort of quote unquote heroes by the end of the show. Like whatever they did doesn't stick with them and doesn't become their identity, which is something that's really interesting to note. Like the first person that comes to mind is Savika, bro. She helps assassinate Vander. She's a part of Silco's goons, and by the end of it, she has a seat at the table, bro. She has a seat at the table, and she's like, the fact that they all had to unite to come against one force by the end, that could be an allegory for, will humans only stop fighting each other when they have a bigger threat? It leaves a lot to be Medz, a lot to be thought about. And I don't know, maybe humans will stop fighting each other once aliens decide to pop into the picture, bro. Like, who knows, bro?
At this point, I'm hoping.
Yeah, and so yeah, about the cake and eating it too. Just you just spend your whole time wanting that to happen, but they almost kill that entire possibility, which is why the aspect of Vander coming into the picture as Warwick, so genius on the writer's part, because that's the only thing that can bring them together, bro, because that was the thing that brought them apart. That was the thing that brought them apart. So how do you feel about them bringing Warwick? Because I have my own opinions about that, but I want to hear how you feel about that first.
I thought that was a good idea. It is exactly as you said of how that it is the only way in which that the two can get together because that was what split them apart. Um, I think upon first seeing him, I already got spoiled that he was Vander. So there was that. So like him showing up to the prison, I was like, I'm staying for everybody else with the exception of Jinx. Like Jinx, I know is going to be fine because once again, biblically written, right? This kind of um moment where a character is almost possessed or corrupt, and they get snapped back into reality when they meet a familiar face, like someone that they care about deeply. Um, and with Vi was really taking a turn for the worse, I think, out of between her and Jinx, as Jinx was kind of, you know, despite her not really being as active, it's all in to protect Aisha, and she actually gets to bond with Aisha. You know, she's happy that she's chilling with her. Vi, on the other hand, is taking a route where she's constantly drinking, constantly going out to this underground fight club and losing every fucking time. um, which I thought was um interesting because I feel like in some regard that is to mirror the positions that um Jinx and Vi were in. Because I don't think that I can't recall there really being like a moment to where you'll have Vi um really be in like a bad position. Like I don't know how to like necessarily phrase this because um I feel like there was some point in time where we do get to see a side of progression with Vi, but a setback for Jinx. And I feel like for them to reveal the kind of the two sides and their situations flipped, um, as Vander is eventually coming back into the story, I thought that was a um I feel like that exists. I feel like it's there. I don't remember much of season one, but I believe I recall it being there. And if it is, um, it really kind of like it's almost like a true reversal with him coming back. Um, with Warwick, with him showing up as Warwick, I feel like there is more to it. Like there's more to him just being some sort of monster, right? Like he's a monster, but who's also has a human soul. And it's kind of interesting of how that the one who was advocating for peace in the underground and trying to unify people through peace ends up being the grotesque monster of the underground.
The bringer of destruction.
The one who tried to get people off Shimmer is the one who's being kind of like injected with a mix of Hex Core and Shimmer.
Yeah.
It's awful, but it's a beautiful choice. It's a beautiful choice.
Yeah.
Which I loved about Warwick.
Bro, the choice to bring Vander back, bro, in that state, bro, it just hurt me, bro. Like I felt so sad when he said powder. Like, bro, my boy Vander couldn't catch a break this whole show, bro. This whole show, my boy just got violated after violated after violated, bro. They brought him back just to kill him an episode later, bro. Like that shit broke my heart, bro, because they're like I feel like what he served was as the catalyst to really and truly bring Vi and Powder back together.
Yeah.
And it was a genius move, but he did that just for him to essentially die by the end. So Vander doesn't necessarily get the kind of he gets a conclusion, but not the conclusion that we would have all hoped for him, because obviously he died back in season 1, episode 3, right? Mm-hmm. And he's brought back to serve as something, but die again. He wasn't his complete self. He was far back in the psyche of Warwick, but he wasn't at the forefront of Warwick. If you get, it was more of a animalistic, monstrous type of beast rather than Vander at the forefront. But they know that's the point. That scene where, first off, that sister fight scene when they're on the way to go find Warwick was hilarious to me, bro. Just with the banter, bro. Like I always watch shows between like with siblings, bro, and I'm like, why do they not have too much crazy banter? Like that banter was so hilarious just to see them as grown-ups fighting with each other, bro. Vi and Jinx, bro. That was hilarious, dude. Like Jinx slaps Vi, and then Vi starts fighting her as the older sibling, because I'm an older sibling. I'm a root for the older sibling, bro. But I have sisters, and like the fights look exactly like that, bro. Just petty argument. And when they were younger, not so much now, but when they were younger, you know, tussling around, rolling around. That was just hilarious, and I love that little input there. But a beautiful scene between them was when they're hugging Warwick, and Vi's like, "Hey, it's your dad too." After Powder says, "Hey, it's your dad," as a response to why Vi asked, "Why'd you even call her?" Like I loved that they came back together, bro. I loved it. And what was smart on the back to Aisha's death, because I feel that's one of the more significant parts of the show for you. It serves.
It's not too significant, but it does serve.
But you raised your eyebrow as that, so I want to add more to it. And regarding that, it served as that regression because Warwick was supposed to be the progression. You get? Mm-hmm. Warwick was supposed to be the progression, and the regression happens at the same time the progression stops too. It's like they both were forces of progression, and then one of them dying stops the progression and ends the regression in that sense. Because think about it.
2 steps forward, 1 step back.
Exactly. Like, think about it. Say Aisha were to die and Warwick were to still be alive with the Vander inside of him. I don't feel like, though, it would have gone the same way. Of course not.
No.
Right? Same thing with vice versa, but to lose them both at the same time, that was what the catalyst is to really bring Jinx back into that mindset of, hey, I am a Jinx, basically. Everyone close to me dies. So the person that's closest to her is herself. So it's understandable why her mind would draw that conclusion in the end. And I found it, man, just losing Vander again hurt me, bro. But I understand, because when I first saw him back, I was thinking, why bring him back? Why bring him back? This is not going to end well. But just seeing what it did for the other characters, it was a great choice. It was a great choice. I want to talk about the Timebomb, bro. I've been seeing edits and edits and edits all over my TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube reels, bro. And I'm not gonna lie, bro. I've been depressed for days after seeing EKKO and Jinx in this Timebomb alternate universe, bro. I've just been thinking, man, this is so beautiful. Especially that Stromae song, bro. Oh my gosh, bro. My heart melt, bro. Heart did melt, bro, because jeez, how'd you feel about that alternate universe? We were talking a bit yesterday about alternate dimensions. And how did you feel about that Timebomb episode? Because that caught me by surprise. I was looking forward to it the entire time because I had heard whispers about it, but I never knew how it would go. What's your opinion?
Timebomb sucked ass because Heimerdinger died. My fucking goat. This is my goat here, right? Favorite, like top tier character, and he fucking dies. Fuck that. All right? I don't give a damn. All jokes aside, I really did like that episode. I liked how that, you know, it's kind of like a what if, and it's almost just like a dream, it's like something that like we wish that we could have, but we can't have it. We simply just can't have it. And that's I fucking loved the the fact that you have Heimerdinger out here who's just completely just fucking done with it all, and he's
Bro.
just fucking singing his shit.
Go spin the wheel and see where it lands. Bro, when I heard that song, I knew this is gonna be my crack for the next week, bro. Like I was like, this is my new drug. Cue it up, cue it up, cue it up, bro. That song was beautiful. But yeah, dude, Heimerdinger's death took me by surprise, bro. The fact that he would sacrifice himself, especially with such a long lifespan, and especially because it came out of nowhere too.
I feel like what that was supposed to serve is that he's had his time.
Yeah, yeah.
Like quite literally his time was up.
Yeah.
Right? Like he can never die, and he's tried to talk about his knowledge, saying of how that, that he's done this before and that, he knows that it goes bad. But, with him seeing Jayce and seeing EKKO, it's kind of like, maybe there is like almost another way. And so to put his trust into kind of like the same way in which like, like anime has like that motif where it's like, the next generation,
Yeah.
your next kind of thing. That's what Heimerdinger's sacrifice felt like to me. Everything else, that whole episode felt real. I don't know where exactly I could kind of relate to it. I think the closest that I could probably relate to this is like Tokyo Ghoul.
Mm-hmm.
Have you finished it?
Bro, I haven't seen any Tokyo Ghoul.
Okay. Because like there's like a scene where the main character loses a fight, right? And as he's losing this fight, he starts thinking of this make-believe scenario to where he kills the opponent that he's fighting, right? And he's inside a tournament with them. And as he's fighting, right, he ends up losing, right? Then as he's thinking about this tournament, he then cuts to another scene of him him meeting the character for the first time, right? And in this hypothetical, he just straight up kills him.
Mm-hmm.
And so it then plays back to where you have a bunch of other different variations of Kaneki talking to each other, being like, so is this the right route? Is this the appropriate route? And the reason why I'm calling that back is because like it's one of those moments to where it's fake. It is fake, and that it's not, that this isn't it. Another thing that I could say is like the sequel to Seven Deadly Sins, Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse. You go into the Chaos World, and one of the things that is being promised is the fact that all things that die come back to life. And the conflict about it is that they're actually dead and they can never come back to life. They exist in the chaos world based off of your memory, and that's all you have of this person. This is all seen in Jagan. Oh my god, there's a scene in Jagan where a character's promised that they could bring somebody back from the dead. And they know 100% that no one can really come back from the dead. Like this is impossible. But like they've been advertised like this goal that they can bring someone back to the dead if they kill XYZ amount of people, right? Yeah. And then here comes this character that tells them, hey, I can make your dreams come true like that. And it's about him bringing back his son. And he brings his son back to life, and his son has all his emotions almost perfectly how he wants him to be, but he knows that like this isn't real. This moment is not real. I can't bring back people from the dead. I can't change people. I can't do that. And so I'm watching this episode of Arcane, and I'm looking at all these people, and I'm just like, all I could think about is, wow, this sucks because he's gonna have to go back. this isn't his universe. This is the alternate EKKO's universe. This is a reality that he didn't have, and he just has to deal with it and move on. I found that to be a very I really loved the fact, like, kind of um situation where it's just like the harsh reality is that I can't have that moment.
You
This
can't
isn't
stay.
real. This
Can't.
isn't real. I gotta move on and accept, come to terms with the reality. Like with him and with him and Powder, right? I was like, damn, you're like, this is really sweet. But I know damn well when he goes back, it's not gonna be the same.
Yeah, bro, that was a big balls moment for EKKO, bro. Because could you have done the same, bro? Because I don't know. It's crazy on so many fronts because first off, EKKO is thrown into a world where and it was crazy because Heimerdinger doesn't even know this, and I don't think Heimerdinger it's ever really expressed to Heimerdinger just the weight of seeing all those people and how much it meant to EKKO because half the people that we saw in that alternate universe were dead or dramatically changed. And
Yeah.
it's completely obvious that this is a crazy thing to experience for EKKO, but even deeper than that, he finds out that he is in a relationship with a person who's tried to kill him numerous times. So that's also a mental what the heck, you know?
Yeah.
But it's crazy because even through that, he learns to love her so quickly, almost like they were meant to be. And that's what made the fans go crazy because you see the chemistry off rip between even though it's an alternate universe EKKO and it's basically an alternate universe Powder, you see that there's a deep resonance between their personalities together, which is what made that episode so special and only makes more fans want content between them. Even if it's Jinx and EKKO, it's like honestly, we don't know if EKKO and Jinx could really be a thing or if they could even be compatible. But man, we'd love to think so, wouldn't we? After watching EKKO and Powder in the alternate Timebomb, like I can be completely honest. Like I couldn't imagine wanting to leave that world. Like think about it. Imagine right now you're thrown into a world where everything that has ever gone wrong in your life has been rectified. And things that you didn't even know that you wanted were put into your life. Nobody in their right mind would want to leave it. It really takes someone with a greater sense of justice and responsibility to really pack up and be like, hey, I have to really go back to my world and that just shows the extent of how good of a character EKKO is and just how great of a moral compass the writers gave him. Because it really takes a special person to make that decision, to realize, hey, I'm living someone else's life. Let me leave. You know? I mean, could you make the decision, bro? Alternate universe baddie, blue-haired girlfriend walks into your life, bro. And you're in an alternate universe and you know that girl rejected you in your real life, but now you're in an alternate universe where you're dating her, bro. You walking away?
I don't know. I don't know. I want to say yes. I want to say yes so badly, but part of me also wants to say no. I'm I'm always a half stepper. I'm always half stepping.
Yeah.
So for EKKO to make that decision, hey man, he got more balls than I do. All right, to make that commitment, because like he wasn't like he wasn't like like I'm waiting on whether or not I'm gonna stay here or not. No, he was just like I'm working on getting back. I'm working on finishing what we started, and saving and stopping tech. Right.
Yeah.
I give him more balls than me on that one because me that's it's hard to do that. Um it's hard to go back, but it's hard to go back as well as to be in a situation where everything goes right. Um in terms of why I would want the only thing that would probably save me or give me the desire to go back is just recognizing that this isn't my life.
Mm.
Because in order for me to even be inside that position, that means that there is another me who's living this life, and I'm just hijacking their body.
Yeah, and that was the
So,
conflict there too.
so it's like if that's the case, I don't want this other me to just kind of fade off into existence. This isn't fair. This isn't right. So, in a sense, like I have to go back, but that's some heavy shit. That's a heavy thing to deal with. The fact
Yeah,
of how that this you're gonna go back to a place where things ain't always things aren't sunshines and rainbows.
yeah,
But it's the truth though. It's would you rather stay inside of a world that, in all honesty, is artificial? It
mm,
is it is a place in which you are pretty much given everything that you've ever wanted, but
yeah,
it's not real. Or do you want to go back to the real world and truly like and just experience the rest of just handling the truth almost kind
bro.
of like
Infinite Tsukuyomi, bro.
yeah
Bro,
yeah
Now, I'm not gonna lie, like I knew there was something that I could compare it to. The infinite Tsukuyomi of Naruto, bro. Literally, the whole fact that Madara tries to push is that, hey, everything that ever went wrong in your life will be rectified in this genjutsu world, bro. And people are like, hey, we can't do this. Everything that has happened wrong in our life is a result, has culminated into the result of who we are now. So we'd cease to be. And also the fact that it is fake. It's like you see through the characters of Naruto that they don't want that at the end of the day, that their suffering made them who they were, and that people would rather their real lives as opposed to a fake one. Not saying that the time bomb was fake per se. He was just living in a life that wasn't his. It belonged to another version of himself. And I was worried, bro. Like after that explosion happened when he was about to go through the hextech portal, bro, I thought that his version, the EKKO in their world, had died, bro, because he was laying on the floor. But when he woke up, I was so happy. Like, did you not feel for a second? It's like, is he dead? Like,
I was worried, bro.
um
Man,
I had that was in the back of my head, but I was like, he
he can't be dead.
should be fine, right? Yeah, it can't be dead.
apparently, there was a director's cut, or not a director's cut, but there was cut footage or storyline between EKKO and Powder that just never made the final cut, bro. I I heard about that, and just the fans are rallying like, "Yo, we want this cut! Like, bring us more EKKO," because the story is just so tragic. At the end of the day, you want that sunshine and rainbows. Because I'm not gonna lie, like, I don't think I would have been able to stomach the ending if I didn't get that EKKO and Powder, bro. It made it all so. Whew.
I think all humans prefer, like, genuinely prefer the much more pleasurable, not really just as a human thing, but more so just as an animal. You
Yeah,
know, it's to that satisfaction, that satisfaction, that gratification. Um, that is the much more desirable and easier choice. Going back to the Tsukuyomi, um, even I genuinely like I don't think I'd be able to go against Madara on that one.
mm,
Like I think the only exception I would probably have, and this isn't like I'm just like throwing away my sense of justice here, right? Because the good message is that we should be met with the truth. But a Tsukuyomi, with that being done, if the exception was that I wasn't having my life force taken away and that I wasn't dying and I was inside like some alternate reality genjutsu,
yeah.
um, I don't think I'd be able to refuse his offer. I don't.
Mm,
And the reason for that is because that um it's just it's within as a animal to take that easier route. If I could almost guarantee you if you were to take any animal, right?
mm,
And you even see this with in terms of like giving an animal food, right? Sometimes. Um, the easier route for the animal would be to go and hunt, right? But if it knows that it has a reliable source of food, it's not gonna go fucking hunting. And that's the truth. That's the true route that the animal should take. And yet the animal would choose to be fed by a reliable source, by a constant source, because it knows that at least it'll get food. It's not about whether or not it's not about whether or not it's right or not. It's about the fact that it's able to be satisfied.
So
it's able to be content.
So you would just chalk it up to natural animalistic desires of pleasure rather than logic, in the sense of, you know that it's a fake world, but because you're because you're a human, because you're an animal, you're gonna accept it because it's more pleasurable.
I'm saying that I would be lying. I'd be lying to myself if I said that I would never choose that option.
Okay, but what would you do? What would you do? Not in an alternate, not in like hypothetically. Say that happened to you right now. You are put in an opportunity to live out all of your dreams and aspirations, and everything that has gone wrong in your life has been rectified, and things you didn't even know you wanted has been put on the table for you. Are you taking it if you know that it's at the expense of both yourself and those that you love in the real world?
Um, I would only say no because of the fact of how that I am here now. I know what this is. I'm here now. This is the original state that I'm in. If I was to lose family, right? If I was to lose that kind of interaction, that true authentic interaction, I don't think I would. I'd be more in favor of
okay.
declining that often. But um, to kind of like in a way, it's as if I was to say, right, like the Matrix, right?
Yeah, blue pill, red
Yes.
pill.
Let's say right now, right? Let's say right now, this is the fake world, right? That we're in, right? We have no idea what the real world is, right? None. Are you taking that red pill and leaving because it's the truth? Or are you going to keep the blue pill and stay in this society right now?
Mm,
If you were given that pill right now,
That's a hard one, bro. It is it really is a hard question, because on one hand we know what the world is like in the Matrix and what the real world is like in the Matrix, but we don't for our real society right now. All I know, this could just be a dream, and I wake up and I'm in the Garden of Eden. You know what I mean? And but is that a chance that you're willing to take? You're right. You do have me stumped. So I completely get the moral dilemma there, because you've lived one thing your entire life. But I would say there's a subtle difference in the fact that, say we are in the Matrix right now, and this is how my life goes. There's no guarantee that my life is going to be better coming out. But for EKKO, he knows that his life is going worse coming out. That's why it's a harder decision to make in that sense. So I completely get it. Now, if we're talking just plainly for the greater good, he knows that time is against him and he has to do this because he's living at the expense of another alternate version of EKKO, and he's not the true EKKO that the powder of that world fell in love with. You can understand his decision, but honestly, if I were in his position, I would leave too. Like, I couldn't stomach taking someone else's um, life experience from them.
Yeah.
Even if he's me from a different universe, that's messed up, because he isn't you. He hasn't lived through the same. So technically, all he is looks like you. He's not you for real. Because you are only a culmination of your life happenings. And if that EKKO didn't live the same, they're not the same. They just look the same. They're both named EKKO, but they could very well be twins who lived apart their whole lives. That's a deeper Medz to that. So just to conclude on that, would you leave the world, or would you stay if you were in EKKO's position?
I like
I keep going back to saying I don't know. My initial response is I would leave.
Mm.
And I would leave simply because of the fact that I have business to attend to.
Ah.
I'm not done yet. Like I got trapped inside of another world. Like in one way, EKKO could just as very well view it as I'm inside of a wrong dimension.
Yeah.
I got teleported into I'm in the wrong place, right?
Yeah.
And I have to get back home.
Yeah.
So with that being said, right, if I was to be transported into another world, it's like, yeah, like this world is nice and all, but I need to go back. Like it's what I had originally. This is
Yeah.
what makes me me.
Yeah.
Like I have to go back.
Dude.
But the reason why I bring up the um the kind of natural instinct of wanting to stay is because that it's in a way to understand both sides.
It's ingrained within all of us.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's to understand that like it is completely understandable for one to stay and as well for one to leave.
Yeah, it's ingrained within all of us to want pleasure more than pain. So to seek the easier route of staying with the small expense of just forgetting that there was an EKKO before is inherently, maybe not inherently, but it's easier for most than it would be for a few. So yeah, that time bomb broke me because you know what he's really dealing with, you know the world he has to go back to, and you're just seeing the beauty and you're empathizing with it. Like that last scene of him in his, original gear and he's floating up into the time bomb and she's looking up at him like, oh, I shared the kiss and I spent this beautiful day with a different version of him. That was heartbreaking as much as it was beautiful because the person that she loves comes back. Do you feel like she knew that it was a different EKKO? I've seen theories that have been going around that say that she might have known.
I don't know. I think it's possible. But I'm pretty sure that she met her confirmation towards the end.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure she is fully convinced that like, yeah, this is a different EKKO.
Yeah, I saw that people were analyzing the subtle changes in her expression when she was looking at his sketches, but also the end of that episode where she goes into the box next to Vi's mural, and she has hex core. She has the hex tech crystals there, so that just like to me, I feel like that proved that she had an idea of what was going on. So that leaves the story kind of open ended. Like think about it like this: now she knows the tech to use the time bomb because they just went through it. And she has more crystals, and all they had to do was use a small amount of crystals. So that leaves the story open-ended. People can speculate about what that means for the future of EKKO and of Jinx. And
that leaves more story.
It leaves more story, and I'm so excited because that was just freaking beautiful, bro. Like, oh my gosh, dog. I wanna get closer to the end of the story. It's funny, bro. It's funny. All this beauty is happening in this alternate time bomb with EKKO and with Powder, and Jayce is just speedrunning Dark Souls, bro.
I found that to be fucking hilarious, but at the same time, like I felt awful for Jayce, and everything that he was saying made sense. First time that he shows up, I'm like, the fuck is going on with Jayce? Like he's immediately just like, yeah, I'm sorry, and fucking kills him. And then he just keeps moving on. Like he's like dead set focus on like, I have to kill Viktor. I have to kill Viktor.
I'm glad you brought that up. That was my next point, bro. The random, like when he pulled up, like this was genius, but he just pulled up on fucking Merc mode, bro. Like he killed the first Bretta with the hammer, bro, brutally too. And then he goes and fucking donuts Viktor, bro. Like that was, bro, gave him the ace treatment for no reason, bro.
And then he just runs. He just completely just fucking dips.
Bro, it was crazy. Like that, like him pulling up and being on Demon Time, Black Force Energy, Jayce, bro. and the fact that they omitted the fact that Viktor was the one who told him to do it, that was beautiful because on the writer's part, because we are sitting here not knowing whether we should be rooting for him or not, because it was his actions that led to Warwick going crazy and Aisha dying, and we don't know whether Jayce's actions are going to lead up to like it's all hearsay until we find out that it was Viktor who put him up to it. We're like, should you guys be trusting Viktor? Like, I don't know. Should we be rooting for you for real? And then, it just we find reason to actually believe him, which brings me into my next point. You said earlier on that Mel just has powers now. Like that was surprising. Explain that a little bit more to me. Did you feel like that was kind of like a random input, or do you feel like it was a substantial aspect to the plot that needed to be there?
I feel like as if I missed out on something. Like I felt like as if I missed like maybe an episode, I missed out on some information. I don't know where, but I missed out at some point in time because they capture Mel and then they're like, we were looking for you.
Mhm.
You had magic in you. And I was like, that's rather odd because you have her mother who doesn't use magic at all.
Yeah.
She's with Jayce, who, can be considered a magician of sorts with hex tech, but her surroundings, she's not really surrounded by any sort of like real magical kind of stuff. So when being brought to this place where then she's told that, oh yeah, you have like insane magic potential, it's like, did I miss a part? Where was it that it was revealed that she had this kind of capability? Now I don't know where it is. Like maybe I have to rewatch Arcane to see what I missed out on.
I don't really think like it was something that was foreshadowed. I could be wrong. Technically, like I was doing a thing where I watched the whole of season 1 over technically, so I know for a fact like I didn't see any of Mel's powers. Maybe I missed something in my second rewatch, but the one thing that I do think that they added in as a bit of a sprinkle to say, here's a bit of context, when Jayce and Mel are talking and he's like, why did you only save us? Why'd you only save me and Viktor and them? And she said, oh, I wasn't thinking, you guys were just there. And he finds out that she has powers and he's like, oh, he's the reason they're alive after Jinx shoots the missile at the room where all the elites are gathering. And that I felt like was more of a tell rather than a show. But I'll let the show get away with that. I'll let the TV show get away with that because they've done so much for us already, especially with all these character arcs and resolutions coming and culminating towards this final episode. Mel's powers, like I knew about the lore of League of Legends a bit. I've never played the game. I know that it has wizards, it has mages, so I did have it in the back of my mind. Are we ever going to see any mages? Because that's the first thing that is really depicted for Jayce. So you're like, are the mages going to pull up? So I guess that just shows that the mages, like, they're not extinct for real. They're just in the shadows, and Mel was just one that hadn't awakened their powers. And I'll take that. I'll let them give us that because they've given us so much already, especially with all these character arcs that are all culminating towards this big final episode. The one moment where I do feel like I will feel an inkling of rush was when people are talking and then it just switches and now they're just in the battle versus Ambessa and all of Viktor's people. Like that was a really harsh switch for me. And I was like, wait, what? We're in the final battle now? Like, I was like, what? I was like, huh?
What's your thoughts? Like, what's your thoughts on that one guy who's like, he's like on like the dude who ends up dying and like he's on like the cannons of the crates. Like, what's your thoughts on that guy? Because we kept seeing him and we just get nothing about him.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. He looked almost like Vander for a bit. I thought he was gonna kind of be like this figure of, this Vanderish figure that helps Vi on her way. What was his name, bro?
I see. She knows how like we both forgot. See, like this. I feel like, and this is why I say like I feel like it's like we're missing some
parts of the story because that, like, I feel like we should have gotten to know him, but at the same time, one could even say that it's very valid for him to just suddenly die like that because
Yeah.
that's just how realistic war is. People just drop and die like that, which, the weight of him dying, that could still connect if he had more um, character development. But like, I feel like we get like a character zoom. We keep getting character zooms of him. He's looking at Vi, and then he like closes his eyes, like he's following her, like watching her, and he just dies.
Yeah,
Like,
bro.
who is he? Like, I feel like as we needed more information on him as well. Like, I don't know, man. Characters just show up and were dropping dead. They were just dying, which again, adds to like a wartime realism. But some
Yeah.
of these characters have been around for a long time, and you're kind of just sitting there being like, why don't like what why show us these characters? What is up with them? Are we
Yeah.
gonna get more about them? Are we not? Where does this lie? Personally, do you feel like as if there needed to be more episodes and just overall?
So you're just wondering why they gave us this guy and he just goes there and he you feel he serves no purpose
Some
basically.
of these characters do. Like you have like another character who's like he's like the blue guy, like the blue like fish looking guy. He shows up consistently and we get this understanding that like he's a character that exists. What is there like about him?
Yeah.
And there really is nothing.
Bro, I find that interesting because I would argue that they do serve a purpose. And what the purpose is, and it ties back into these subplots that I find are beautifully woven towards this resolution in the final episode with Arcane. You have all these silent characters that you're rooting for. Like, think about that final battle when you see all the people of Zon leaving and running from the war that's about to happen, and you have people that are from the underground staying to fight, hugging their families. I remember there was this one guy that was seen hugging his wife and his daughter, and his wife leave, and he goes and he's fighting in Force uniform, and he gets killed within like the first couple minutes of the fight, bro. And he has no lines, bro. Same thing with this other lady from the underground, and I find that these silent characters, it just shows just how well the character building is from these writers of Arcane, and also because of the way in which they're able to create these characters and not have them say a word, but you feel for them when they die. Like, think about that. Loris, this guy that died on the cannon, you were expecting more from him the whole show, but some people are just like that, bro. Like, they exist within that space. They may have a presence that's larger in life than life. They may not do anything that's quote unquote significant, but that's from our perspective. From Vi's perspective, Laura stayed there with her when Caitlyn left her. He saw her. He was there with her on his lowest moments, which is why we get a perspective of Vi noticing that he's died. And it serves as that gotcha moment, pain. But I find that not all the characters needed to have such a great importance. I find that their importance lied within their lack of importance, if that makes sense. Like, some people just die, bro. And I think that's what that was kind of trying to show, because not everybody dies in a huge explosion or some significant moment or event like Aisha, bro. Some people just die. Some people die in very mundane circumstances or extravagant circumstances like these characters. And I find that that's what the show is conveying in those moments. Like, especially in war, bro, people just die, bro. That brother that you thought would come back to his family gets shot in the neck with an arrow right as he's trying to throw a grenade, bro.
And that's just it.
And Loris, you think that he's about to pull like a main man moment, and he just gets shot with a bunch of arrows, and that's it, because your life can be over like that, bro. And I find that many critics will say, his character served no purpose. That's what it's supposed to tell you. That's what it's supposed to show. You can seem like you're going to be doing something. You can seem like it's going to be set up for you. You can seem like the chosen one, and you can die like that. Remember me and you were talking about wanting to write a story where the main character just dies and it's left for the team to just pick up the pieces. I haven't read many stories about that. Maybe I'm just uncultured in the sense, but it's a very daring thing to do as an author, because now you've kind of shifted the story off of its pedestal that the main character carries and leaves all these other tiny pedestals to try and hold up this story, you know? And I find that was the main reason why Loris was killed off in such a way. The green guy, I feel that, and also the bat guy that was one of EKKO's friends in the Firelights, they're there for you to worry about them. They're there for you to wonder, hey, is this guy next? It's more as like holding your heart on strings, and the writers or the puppeteers like, hey, you know, I could I could kill them, you know, like it really just holds you on the edge of your seat. Going back to this final fight, bro, Maddie's betrayal, bro. Maddie's betrayal to Caitlyn, bro. How did you feel about that one, bro? Did you expect it?
Fucking no. I didn't expect it. I don't think that was I don't find that to be a bad idea. I think that what I will say is that the minute when I saw when it was revealed that she betrayed her, I was like, she's dying.
You think so?
That I was just like come on.
Bro, how did you feel about when, like, after Caitlyn and Vi broke up and you just see Caitlyn in the next scene with Maddie in her bed, bro? That shit, when I saw that scene, bro, my jaw fell to the floor, bro. I was like, what? And I had to rewind. I was like, what? I was like, there's no way you just wake up with her and then you backtrack to this gal, bro. That was...
I say put it this way, right? I like because when I watched it with my siblings, right? My sisters were pissed. They're like, "What the fuck? Like you go for a downgrade?" I was just like, listen, all right. Most people, when they're stressed out and when they're going through stuff, right, they make choices that normally, in most circumstances, they just wouldn't make, right?
Yeah.
And especially with her now taking charge of, you know, with the imposing of martial law, you know, her having to make decisions that she doesn't want to do, you know, as well as her just overall like losing her mother, right? Losing Vi technically, right? And now being forced to make these choices. It's a lot of stress that has to bear, as well as looking for Jinx tirelessly.
Yeah.
Gassing up the underground. Like, that's a lot. And so makes sense.
It's understandable, yeah, because after my initial emotional shock, my logic came in, and it was like, yeah, I can understand, because some people do choose to cope in a sexual manner in regards to just, you know, the hooking up and all of that. So I got it, and I'm actually almost grateful that they added that in there to show that moral ambiguity between the characters, and also the fact that when like, just to show that Caitlyn isn't a shining beam of morality, and that, yeah, it just adds to more of it being a real person, because there are people that do that in order, like, that's not the person they love, but that's how they're choosing to cope, for real. That's copium, bro, you know?
Yeah.
And that's just what it was. And I found that it was even more funny, and I'm glad that, like, I didn't know that I wanted this, but when Caitlyn and Vi are in the cell, bro, and they're making out, and she's like, wait, I was with someone after we broke up, and fucking Vi's like, Caitlyn, I don't give a fuck. Bro, like, she was like, shh, I don't give a shit, baby doll.
But like, how my thoughts on that was like, the minute they got into a cell, when they got into that cell, I joke around with my siblings a lot, and I was like, no, it's happening here. It's happening in this jail cell.
So you knew it.
I was like, I know it's happening in this cell. Just because that's just at that point in time where they've been broken, they've been hurt to the point where it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
That place doesn't matter.
How did it feel to watch a lesbian sex scene with your siblings, bro?
Don't phrase it like that.
I knew that I was like, it's like it had to happen.
Did you do the thing that like that parents do when a sex scene comes on and you like skip ahead, or you were just like you guys were locked?
No skipping, no skipping was done. I was just like, well then, but the question really then became, how much are they going to show?
Bro, it just kept going, and I was like, oh, and then I was like, oh, and I was like, oh, and then it cut, bro. I was like,
because it does in a way have to be like I feel like it had to be that way. It had to be like that kind of like.
I was waiting for it, bro. I was waiting for it. I was like, listen, if they're gonna show Caitlyn and some random gal, they're gonna show Caitlyn and Vi, bro. And I was waiting for just how the chemistry worked, because they were teasing kisses between them the whole of season 1, bro. So by the time they actually finally kissed, the audience is like, yes, bro, yes, finally, because it's like when you tease that sort of stuff, bro, you have people on the edge of their seat. They were edging it, bro. But that's just the Medz with that, bro. And in that final scene, you have Maddie's done for, and then you see that she had that soft moment where she's like, oh, I enjoyed our time we spent together, or whatever she said, bro. And then you see Mel's powers really take effect, bro. And we have that whole fight between Ambessa and Mel, bro. Ambessa was a beast, bro. Ambessa really, bro, reminded me of, who she reminded me of, bro? She reminded me of Viola Davis in Woman King, bro. Like bro, that whole African war general vibe that she gave was unlike any other, dog. I was like, wow, she was an intimidating ass character, bro.
She was an unstoppable force. I was just like, what the? I was like, seeing this fight, I was like, this is the real final prophecy.
Yeah.
Like for Caitlyn and for Mel, this is the final boss.
Do you feel that Ambessa went easy on them? I doubt she would try and kill Mel.
Part of me, I would say that she went easy on Mel, and she went slightly harsh. She went harsh on Caitlyn.
Yeah, she gave a fuck about Caitlyn, bro.
And Ambessa definitely portrays as like albeit she is evil in a sense, she does care for her family.
Yeah.
So like, she is the type of person who would beat the shit out of Mel, but I don't think that she would kill Mel.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. Seeing how Ambessa was, I wanted to see what her country was like, bro. Because also when I found out that her son actually died for real, I was kind of sad, because I was like, I wonder whether he would have been the cool war general. But bro, he looked sick even in the like mages, fake version of him. Like I was wondering what he looked like. I almost felt like I was gonna get robbed of that. But getting to see what he would have looked like was pleasant. Also, the hair, bro. His hair was cool as crap, bro. Like I know that, bro. I was gonna save this from a miscellaneous item, bro. But the Killmonger cut, bro. Like we black people, bro, have been plagued by this Killmonger cut since Killmonger popped up, bro. And we just haven't caught a break from friggin' Miles Morales, bro, to all these other game characters, bro. We just have not been done justice in the hair department. But bro, I'm not gonna lie. EKKO's Killmonger cut just works for this world, bro. Like, I don't feel like anyone ever had a problem with EKKO's cut, because all the haircuts in Arcane are just wacky and cool, Like, look at Vi's haircut. I don't think I've ever seen anyone with that haircut, bro. Look at Jinx's haircut. I've never seen it. No one really has braids down to their ankles. So it's like, that's why it works. And also the texturing that they used as a stylistic element was really cool. So getting down to not just the final act, but the final culmination of events. I bring up EKKO because MVP, bro. MVP at the final moments, bro. When it's all about to come to fruition, all of Viktor's plans. We got this young black brother with a hoverboard and a bomba clock green sword, bro, and he just is whacking all these robots down, bro. It was amazing to see, bro. It was amazing to see, bro. That guy, like, the world is the world is on his side, and with good reason, because I've never seen a side character steal the show as strongly as I've seen EKKO really do it, bro. Like, he did not get, like, all of his screen time in Arcane was important, vitally important. So to see him really, really run all of that clutch in the last second, bro. Oh my gosh. I was on the edge. I was like, bro, I was watching that. I was watching it on the TV and I was in my bed, bro. And I got up, I was like, yeah, dog. Yeah, dog. Fuck AI, bro. Fuck him. That shit was gas, bro. I was hyped, bro.
What you're saying is exactly how I felt internally. Like, him showing up, flying, going back, like the rewatch, I was like, he got it. He just got it.
Yeah.
But I did think, though, that, like, I had hope that he had it. And then once he got caught, I was like, oh no, please tell me he can rewind.
Yeah.
And once he couldn't, I was like, damn.
But when he finally did it, bro, he was right there, bro. Wait, bro, that was also vibey, bro. Like, that guy really clutched in the last moments, bro. I wanted to ask, these final two death scenes that culminate to the end of the Arcane season 2. We have Jayce and Viktor, and we have Jinx, right? Are Jayce and Viktor dead?
From my understanding, from how they kind of phrase it, no, it's kind of like implied that, like, they've like, I don't know, like, it's kind of like implied that, like, they've, like, evolved in a way, right? Like, they're kind of like experimenting with in a realm in which we are not, in which we have no access to, kind of like them going back to, like, Hex Tech and the Arcane, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like they're going there, right, to kind of explore and venture off there, right? So when they disappeared, I didn't view it as they died. I view it as, you know, they're on an adventure together, and that we won't be seeing them because they're off serving a greater purpose.
Yeah.
Jinx's death makes sense. Vi sold, I will say.
She
done fucked up. If she just acknowledged, like, I do feel bad for her. I really do, because she does have abandonment issues.
Yeah.
But both of them do, bro.
Yeah. But the difference is that Jinx is her mentality is, these people are dead. I can't get them back. But the people that I care about, I'll make sure that I try my best to make sure that they don't leave me. Right?
Yeah.
Vi, on the other hand, is like, these people have left me and I just had them again. I got them back. I don't want to lose them again.
Yeah, I understand that.
It's a mix of not being able to let go, right?
Yeah.
And that's why Jinx was like, you're so stubborn. She's not able to let go. And so Jinx was like, I'm going to take the responsibility, kind of like, I'm going to take the responsibility, almost like the older sister now, and saying,
Yeah.
I gotta go.
I got you, sis. Always with you, sis. Oh man. Let me tell you, I've heard theories that say that Jinx is not actually dead, that Caitlyn at the end was looking at air vents where she could have escaped, and then there was a stream of whatchamacallit? A stream of the purple thing, bro. Purple
Shimmer?
Yeah, a stream of shimmer where she could have escaped, and that's why there's a shot of the air blimp thing leaving Piltover, bro. Mm-hmm. I want to believe that Jinx is alive because I just couldn't imagine this show without her.
I can imagine it though.
You can imagine the show without her?
Yeah, because you gotta think about EKKO's. You gotta think about EKKO's, the alternate timeline. Their timeline exists a time where Vi dies, right? And because that Vi dies, you get peace. Here's a moment where Jinx dies, and you get that kind of moment. It's supposed to parallel to that. So she is dead in a sense. Now, if she does live, I can definitely imagine a situation where she does live, but she's never coming back. As in, she's not coming back
The Piltover.
to Piltover, to any of it, because that to her, she's like, this is how Vi is going to grow up. I've already matured. It's time for me to carry on. That's how kind of I view.
Bro, it hurts my heart to even accept that as a possibility, bro. That we tell you attachment issues. That time bomb experience gave me attachment issues, bro. I'm attached to Jinx now, bro. I'm attached to Jinx and I'm attached to EKKO's relationship, and I'm pretty sure there are a lot of people that agree with me. Yeah, man, that finale, as much as there are, people have their opinions about it being rushed, I do see Arcane as kind of just a masterpiece, bro, of fiction and storytelling ability and story writing ability. We both are interested in writing stories. We both want to write stories. What do you feel that this show could have done for you, in the sense of storytelling, in the sense of the filmic devices and techniques that were used, as far as art goes, because I know you're an artist, as far as writing goes and animation?
I need to start getting a notepad, right, and start rewatching all of season one. I love season one. I could genuinely be like, I can consider season one a masterpiece, and that's the reason why I don't watch it again. I didn't watch it again because I was like, it just won't hit the same as the
Mm.
first time watching it. Like is this is amazing. Like this is like how it's supposed to be done.
Yeah.
Um, season two, um, I feel like it gave off the energy of that, like the creators want, like they had something, but it feels like they were restricted from showing what they wanted to show. And I feel like if they were given the go to have like either another season or maybe or more episodes to kind of like fill in those gaps, I feel like they would have done it and they would have had it.
You feel like there are plot holes?
I feel like I just feel like as if there's things that could have been done more, you
Like,
know. I feel like, for example, the switch between Caitlyn and Mbessa, right? Again, like this is like months, year, maybe even years. I'm not sure about the specific timeline, but it's noted to be a while that there's a gap in time, right? And so for Caitlyn, who previously had a whole training argument with Mbessa, right? Taking her under her wing, right? And um, as well as Caitlyn just gassing up all of the underground and try in search of her chaotic search for Jinx. For her to just see Vi and then just to switch up immediately, deciding with Vi, I feel like as if there could have been maybe like extra time or time to develop that switch.
yeah. Okay. I can understand what you're talking about. I feel like I accepted it. I feel like I accepted it, but I there also was room for more seeing that gradual change that Caitlyn.
Mhm.
So now that you've put it into perspective, I can definitely understand where you're coming from in that sense now. Because yeah, there like I really did wonder. I was like, oh, was it just because she loved her all along, or was there some catalyst for
Mm.
change that
And then
Heard.
you could also have, I guess, a moment where, because even then I can even understand Maddie in a sense with her betrayal.
Mhm.
Although it's like out of the field, it kind of makes sense because that I could see in a sense where she actually did have feelings for Caitlyn, but she also knows that Caitlyn has feelings for Vi, and she
So
knows that she is the rebound. And so it's one of those moments where like you know it's going to happen and you hope it doesn't happen, but it happens anyway.
So you wanted more character depth, and you wanted more emotional expression leading up to those, larger turn points in the
Yeah.
story. I understand where you're coming from now. I feel that is I feel like that is definitely up to personal interpretation of how you like shows. We definitely live in a time where people are less patient, but I completely get you. And honestly, bro, I feel like nobody could argue with you because everybody wants more of this show, bro. Everybody wants more of EKKO and Jinx. Everyone wants more of Vi and Caitlyn. Everyone wants more of everybody, bro. Everybody was honestly, people are suffering, me myself included, from post show depression, bro.
And
Also, what was the Black Rose?
The black. Okay, you got me. Ancient order that has not been fully explained, but probably has been around forever. But you're right. There is more to this world. I wouldn't say that takes away from the story. I would say that the story is still very much a masterpiece. But a lot of these open-ended questions give room for what next seasons or future seasons could be for this show. I like they did have a $250 million budget, bro. So there's definitely an understanding as to why certain things were omitted, and if it could have felt rushed in certain places, we understand why, because time is money, and $250 million for something so beautiful, like I've never heard of that type of budget before. So my goodness, apparently that's the biggest budget for any animated Netflix project ever. That's crazy in itself. Like that is genuine.
Now think about that. For like a third season, right?
Mhm.
And now you kind of like understand why I am kind of leaning towards the idea that they might not have had the money to really, or like, I don't think that the company really had or wanted to spend more money into pushing out this project, because like we could have had a lot more to the story, right, to fully flesh it out, because I'm under the impression that, like, if we're just going, like, if this is the end of the story, right,
Yeah.
I would like for almost everything to be answered, right? Like,
Yeah.
kind of like in a way in which I've had that with One Piece, right? Of how that almost everything that isn't explained is bound to be explained at some point in time. And so I know that at the end of One Piece, I genuinely don't think that we will have a continuation of One Piece. So it's just going to end like that. So it's like with it ending, right? Everything that it has done, everything about it, whether it be the different side characters, the organizations, that will all be answered.
Yeah.
And so under that notion, right, I kind of hope or wish that upon any series that is truly ending, to have those questions answered this way, that everything that you wanted to explain is explained.
So you feel that One Piece will, when it finally ends, everything will be fleshed out by the ending?
I hope that a majority, like I can say that maybe about 95 to 99% will all be explained.
Do you think that there's a world where One Piece fans aren't content with the ending of One Piece?
I don't think that we are. I don't think that I will. I will be. No, I'll be content with whatever Oda makes the One Piece is. I'm already under the impression that the One Piece could be a treasure and that it could be nothing.
What if it's the power of friendship?
That's what it is. I genuinely don't. I don't care what the One Piece is, and that's mainly because that One Piece is meant to symbolize something much greater. It's meant to symbolize a dream that you don't even know as to whether or not it's the right choice. You don't know if you could achieve this dream, and yet you venture off and take this risk anyways. And so if it is nothing, who the hell cares? Look back at the journey that you have made. The people that you met, by the time they find the One Piece, they've already changed the world government. They've changed the world government. They've changed the system. They've freed people. Like, who cares what the fuck the One Piece is? Look at what we've done.
That hits
fucking peak to me.
That hit me hard, bro. Oh my gosh. Okay. So with that said, Otatop, if the One Piece is something that means chasing a dream that you don't know whether is right or not, what is your One Piece?
See, like my One Piece is like is a hella ambitious. It is a very, very, very hella ambitious um journey. It is a culmination of me getting into of me letting my brain be as creative as possible and doing the things that I wish I could do. Like if I could finish these things, I think that I could be content. I think that I could be at least not I don't think I'll ever be like fully content, but I'll be content that I've done them. Right.
Mhm.
So I want to at least make some sort of animation that could describe to people what's going on in my head. Like
Mhm.
not necessarily like describe, but show them like what I actually envision in my head. Like,
Yeah.
and I'm not talking about in terms of like a story. Like I actually consistently see this animation that plays in my head, and I'm like, this is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen, and I
Yeah.
want to convey that. When
Yeah.
it comes to comics, right? There are some stories that I feel like I want to release, like I want to make, I want to write, and that's what I also want to do. Then there's games where it's like I there's I want to make a game in which I can play. Like I want to make a game in which that I would play if somebody was me and I was to go back in time and somebody made this game, I would want to be able to play this game and be hooked on it for years to come.
Mhm.
So all of that culmination is my One Piece. And that's kind of like the goal that I want to strive for. I don't know as to whether or not I can do it, but but then again, with all these other shows that I watch, it's not about that. It's about just trying your best and just doing it, and you don't know what you may encounter on your journey.
I feel like that's the beauty of anime. It really touches your soul to the point where that part of you that seeks the top of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, the self actualization, it touches that point for you to really chase it because that's what every character in anime wants. they want they want that one thing that feeds their soul. They want it with their entire heart, whether it is finding the One Piece, whether it is becoming the Hokage, becoming the king of the pirates, getting your balls like like Okarude. But all these things that these anime characters want, I find that seeing somebody in a fictional sense go after something um, unapologetically and unrelentingly, that stirs something within us to seek after what we want ourselves, to seek it with our whole being. And you mentioned you mentioned the journey of finding the One Piece to look back at that adventure, and you said the words "look back," and I would just have to tie that into the movie that we watched recently about making manga and doing art, Tatsuki Fujimoto's Look Back. I do know that there are little bits of Easter eggs in that movie that have to do with don't look back in anger, because obviously the story of Fujino and Kyomato, and ultimately the tragedy that occurs. The moral to that I saw was definitely it's not it's about the journey. It's not about it is about the result, but when you get to the result, it was always about the journey. And as you said about finding the One Piece, looking back at that's actually why I created this podcast, because what I ultimately want is to document the progress of myself and everyone who I have on here that's seeking something, that's actively seeking something. That's why I wanted to make it anime centric, because anime is the thing that really made me view my life in there's some place where I have to get to. It made me view my life in a linear way where I finally realized that there's something that I seek. What is that thing? What is that thing that we seek? What is that thing that I seek? What do you seek? And that's the root of the Medz, seeking, whether it be knowledge, whether it be your accomplishments. When you Medz, you're thinking. The whole point of Medzing is to think. And when I sit down and I have a Medz with somebody, all I'm trying to figure out, and all I hope that we're trying to figure out, is what do we seek in this moment? Whether it be we're seeking more knowledge, we're seeking understanding, we're seeking togetherness, we're seeking compatibility or understanding. It's all about what you seek. And I find that bringing anime into it, especially as a genre that puts our hearts on our sleeves and allows us to really get deep within ourselves and find the innermost things that make us tick, figure out what our bread and butter is. It all culminates into a certain type of thing that I can only attribute to being one of the many various beauties of life, you know, that I wouldn't trade for anything. Look Back showed us that. It showed us the monotony of just being an artist, and I wanted to convey that with not just the monotony, but the beauty that comes with the monotony. Because as much as it hurts you, you're still doing it. It's like working out. You know what you want the result to be, but there's also beauty in the suffering for that result, you know? So it's like doing that showed, like, even though, like, one thing that I loved was the fact that you see that Fujino, it burns her out constantly. Why does she keep doing it? And why did we end the whole movie with, then why do you draw Fujino? Because it was a question not just to Fujino from Kyomoto, it was a question to all of us out there who have dared to step into the creative space. Why do you animate? Why do you write? Why do you draw? Why do you fight? Why do you seek to learn? Why do you seek? What do you seek? And the reason why Fujino didn't answer is because we all have a different answer. And we all know the answer, whether we want to say it out loud, whether it's too vulnerable to say out loud, but we know it because our heart speaks to us. We know the truth, you know? Our hearts are the most vulnerable parts of us, bro. So it's like, look back and that story and just tying that into the One Piece and Arcane and all of these stories that we'll eventually talk about on here on the Fresh Medz, and everything to be Medz and everything that will be Medz, they all culminate into just the journey of writing these stories, animating them, drawing them. This podcast exists to document those who have dared to engage in the process, those who have dared to seek, those who have decided to go on an adventure like Luffy did and like Naruto did, and like all of us had and have begun, you know? Those who are in pursuit, you understand?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that these stories definitely resonate with us for a numerous amount of ways. And definitely for me, Arcane was an example of just how far knowledge of story writing and art and animation can really take you, to where you create something that resonates with millions, bro. So it inspired me even more, you know? So yeah.
Man, when talking about Arcane, like I can understand why the absence of the things that I was seeking kind of add to it. You
Yeah.
know, that desire to want, that desire to need, to expect more, right? That plays a that plays a role in, even inside the story, because in that alternate universe, right? That's everything that the characters themselves want. That's their desires. You know, they wish they spend more times with these characters. And similar to the truth that EKKO got to, is that's the truth that we, the audience, have to experience, which is that not even we can experience the alternate reality, that we can't go back once these characters have gone and passed away. You know, we can't really, it won't be the same as us really experiencing um it just won't, it won't be the same as us getting to um know these characters. Us not knowing, you know, who Loris was, you know, that in a way is amazing. It's amazing because he's a character in which he dies, and we all want to know, like, who was this guy? Who really was this guy? And we just don't know. We've never taken like, it's almost like as if like we ourselves have never really got taken the time to get to know who he was.
Yeah.
He was always there, and yet us, the audience, never got time to know him. So in a
Yeah.
way, it's like a realistic way of portraying regret. Like, we missed this opportunity to see him. The way in which he just drops out of the story, the way in which via dying like that, it's sad, but it's like a like, hey, like, don't take this shit for granted. Like, look at the people who you interact with and get to know them.
Yeah.
Like, this show won't do it for you.
Yeah.
Clearly, this show won't do it for you. So you're gonna have to do it yourself.
And I felt all the emotions too. It hurt, bro, but it was necessary. It really shows just the point of these stories in order to change our perspectives and to allow us to feel emotions that we may not even be able to experience in our lifetime. To experience them, I don't want to say artificially, but to experience real emotions whilst not losing anything in our real lives, it allows for a growth within ourselves. It allows for a learning moment. That's the whole reason why I got into this medium in the first place. Watching Attack on Titan and really realizing, hey, there's a whole aspect of myself and my own morality that's yet to be explored. Understanding the shadow and my capacity for violence, for darkness, and for extreme levels of good and evil. Realizing that I would say at a young age, made me realize, hey, there's no other trade I'd rather be in than the furthering of one's mind and understanding, and hopefully finding a way to allow humans to collaborate and to push us towards more collaboration and togetherness that I feel that we've strayed from for so long. So yeah, these stories are magnificent things, bro. So I'm really glad that we were able to discuss Arcane, something that is taking the world by storm right now, and just to discuss just how important it is that we continue to write beautiful stories and continue to write stories that we can discuss, because the moment that we begin to have the same opinions is the moment that we're no longer different from one another, you know? And that could either be a good or a bad thing. But in the world of free will that we have, our different opinions is what makes us ourselves. It makes us unique. And while there is moral grounding everywhere, stories exist to give opposing opinions. That's the beauty of them. And there are different ways to get good. There are different ways to get evil. That's why in stories, even if someone is going after a good, they may not go after it in a good way. And that's why there are opposing opinions. That's what creates individuality, you know? So I'm glad that we were able to really discuss the importance of these stories, and also to believe that we should continue to make them, bro. To continue to find the drive and allow these stories to continue to inspire us as creatives. And anybody who's watching, let the kindling of these stories ignite your own fire and let it blaze. There's one thing that I want to do at the end of episodes, and I just want to ask my guests, what's the Medz?
Like it's I don't view it as medication. I don't view it as meditation. It's more of like kind of like just you sitting there and just thinking. It's almost like the Medz itself is being a philosopher in numerous different branches, trying to understand yourself, what you want to do, and life in general. It is about figuring that out and enjoying the process of you coming to these conclusions, coming to acceptance and failures of the pros and cons of your conclusions.
Yeah.
The things that you make mentally, find flaws in them, figure out why they're flaws, and figure out everything. I don't think we'll ever achieve everything, but figure out enough to get you going, enough to keep you moving.
Yep, that's exactly how I perceive it. I couldn't have said it better myself, bro. That was literally, you just summed up my entire perception of what the Medz is continuously learning and continuously putting your thought into something to see how far you can progress, and until the day you die. And as you said, we may never understand ourselves fully, but the point of it all is to try to get to that better point. As long as we have our brains, we have our spirits, we can push towards something better. We can push towards a deeper understanding of one another, to where we can hopefully get to a point where we can all collaborate in a loving and positive manner. And the final thing is, what's the Medz for you right now?
My Medz is thinking about what I'm gonna do today. I've done enough. I wouldn't say enough. I've done plenty of thinking in terms of like scenes that I want to make. I can't say anymore because I need to make sure that I don't think and that I should try to just do. That's another thing that about the Medz. It's that you got to remember to have Medz, but also to take action. You could be thinking all your life, and that could all equate to nothing if you don't do something about it. And that's something that I realized as I spend hours upon hours of just simply pondering about life and who I am as an individual. If nothing gets done, then nothing will be the answer. Nothing will be the result of your actions. No one will really know who you are unless you get your actions out. Speaking is a form of action, but the strongest action is activity. And doing those actions.
If nothing gets done, nothing will be done. Yeah, that's completely right. Brandon, thank you for being the second guest on the Fresh Medz podcast. I hope to see you again. This was a great Medz, bro. I really appreciate it, bro. All right, this was the second episode of the Fresh Medz. Make sure to subscribe. Make sure to hit that like button. And we'll see you in the next one, whenever that may be. Take care.